Hello everyone and welcome to Turkish series stars. I hope you're all feeling wonderful today. If you're new here, consider this your personal invitation to a cozy corner where we celebrate the stories, surprises, and softest moments from the world of entertainment. And today, we're bringing you a tale that warmed our hearts the moment we heard it. It's a story about two figures who have charmed audiences for years with their talent and grace. A couple whose connection has quietly blossomed into something that feels deeply real, Cenk Torun and Mahasin Merabet. If the title drew you in, trust me, the details will keep you here, because the gesture we're about to uncover is tender, unexpected, and beautifully sincere. Before we dive in, make sure you hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a single update from Turkish series stars. We're always here with the latest developments around your favorites, mixed with the kind of heartfelt moments that remind us why we love following their journeys in the first place. Now, straight to the heart of it. We've all seen the chemistry between Cenk Torun and Mahasin Merabet in public appearances and interviews, that natural ease, the laughter that flows unforced, the little signs of mutual respect and understanding. People whisper about their closeness, speculate about how they balance work and affection, and root for them in the comments as if cheering for an on-screen romance. But what happened recently goes beyond passing rumors and the usual celebrity chatter. It was an act of vulnerability that doesn't scream for attention but resonates, quietly and deeply. Cenk, known for his thoughtful demeanor and classic leading man aura, did something astonishingly intimate. He dedicated a poem to Mahasin. And not a generic declaration or a glossy caption dressed up for cameras, but a piece that felt honest, precisely shaped to who she is and what she brings into his life. It was short, whispered rather than shouted, and yet somehow it said everything. A tribute that reads like a window into his heart, where admiration lives alongside gratitude. You can imagine the stir it caused. Fans began sharing lines they believed were meant for her, discussing what each image and metaphor could mean, turning each word over like a gemstone, looking for facets we might have missed. That's the magic of poetry, especially in the hands of someone who doesn't usually pen verses in public. It reminds us that beneath the schedules and the photo calls, there are people who feel with their whole chest, who find unusual ways to say the simplest thing: I see you, I cherish you. From what sources close to the couple suggest, the poem wasn't long. It had a rhythm that felt like a private heartbeat. It spoke of the light that follows Mahasin into any room, of a smile that steadies him, of an inner strength she wears with elegance, and of beauty that is not just what the world sees, but what you recognize when you've stayed long enough to understand the quiet in someone's soul. It read like he wrote it in a pause between obligations, maybe late at night, when everything calms down and truth comes out softer. Picture that moment. Cenk at a table, a notebook open, a pen tapping against the page as he searches for a phrase that doesn't feel empty, a line that belongs only to her. That's the kind of detail that makes people pause because it feels authentic, not staged for the spotlight, not designed to set off a trend, but to say something that needed saying. And then came the part that sent social media into a blissful spiral: Mahasin's reaction. There are images and clips floating around where you can almost feel the room shifting when she realizes what he's done. No theatrics. Just a quiet smile that grows, eyes turning glassy, a hand that goes to her heart, and that reflex we all have when words hit us right where we live. You see relief and joy at the same time, the relief of being known and the joy of being loved for who you are, without performance. It's that reciprocity that makes people fall even deeper in love with their story. This wasn't about one person performing romance and the other nodding politely. It felt like two people speaking a common language, a dialogue without the noise, proof that mutual admiration is the backbone of whatever they are building. Comments poured in right away. People who have watched them for years wrote that the poem confirmed what they sensed, that the bond we all glimpsed in snippets was far more grounded than a passing crush. Someone said, "Cenk is such an old-school romantic. You can tell he respects her." Another added, "I've never seen Mahasin glow like this." The chorus was overwhelmingly tender. Let's pause on what a gesture like this means in a public life. It's one thing to be charming on a red carpet, it's another to share something so delicate that it could be torn apart by careless eyes. But he did. He took something fragile and placed it where the world could see it, trusting that the right people would understand. That's not grandstanding. That's courage. And it reminds us that expressing love can be creative, thoughtful, and true to who you are. Cenk may be celebrated as an actor, but here he let a different craft carry his feelings. And by receiving it openly, with sincere emotion instead of spectacle, Mahassine elevated the moment. She treated the poem as a living thing, something they could both hold. In the whirlwind of work and attention, this also becomes a subtle lesson in communication. Not everyone speaks easily about what they feel, and rarely do they do it with the entire world watching. A poem, a note, a private dedication turned slightly outward, these are bridges when your life is noisy. Through those words, Cenk seemed to say, I admire you not only in the way everyone does, but in the way only I can. And her answer, that bright and trembling smile, said, I hear you, and I'm grateful. Of course, we can't ignore the entertainment factor. Audiences do love a romance, and when it comes wrapped in something so heartfelt, the emotional investment grows. It's irresistible to follow a narrative that feels like a series you can't stop watching, except the characters are real, and the stakes are quietly human. The poem became a turning point in their public timeline, a chapter marker fans will reference whenever they map out this relationship's evolution. Those who claim to have seen snippets of the verses describe them as clear and uncluttered. No ornate declarations, no overblown comparisons, just the kind of lines that land because they sound like the truth. If whispers are to be believed, he wrote that her laughter clears the gloom the way morning light opens a window, and that when she stands beside him, he can face down anything, not because she saves him from difficulty, but because her presence steadies his hands. These details feel intimate, the kind you'd only know if you'd paid attention long enough to make a map of a person's small wonders. And then, back to her reaction, the way it stitched the whole moment together. That spark in her gaze, that slight, shy touch to her cheek as if to hide a blush, that breath she took before looking straight at him. It mattered. It said the words reached their destination. It showed that she didn't just appreciate the romance of it, she felt understood. In a world where so much can be performed for cameras, authenticity becomes priceless, and this moment had it. Almost immediately, the narrative began to settle into their shared history. Fans started to talk about this as a milestone, the day Cenk told the world he chooses tenderness, and the day Mahasin let us see the softness she reserves for him. It's a chapter fans will replay every time a new interview or project takes them in different directions, proof that the bond underneath is resilient and carefully tended. These moments become touchstones, little anchors in a life that can drift if you let it. For those who have followed them closely, who noticed the subtle hand squeezes, the quiet glances, the way they speak about each other with consideration, it's the confirmation they hoped for. A reminder that no matter how chaotic fame can be, gestures of real love still cut through the noise. And truly, who can stay unmoved by a poem written from the heart and a response that glows with gratitude? To sum it up, we've walked you through the tender poem Cenk Torun crafted for Mahassine Merabet and, perhaps more importantly, the way she received it, openly, beautifully, and with that unmistakable warmth that says this matters. We've seen how it sparked conversations across social media, how it reminded all of us that vulnerability has a place even in the brightest spotlight, and how art, when used to express affection, can become part of a couple's living story. This wasn't a stunt, it felt like a step. Now it's your turn. Tell us what you felt watching the clips or reading the lines. What did you think of Cenk's poem and the way Mahasin reacted? Do gestures like this strengthen a relationship, especially when life is shared with an audience? We're reading everything, and your thoughts are a treasured part of this community. If this moment touched you, let us know with a like, and share this video with friends who admire Cenk and Mahasin as much as you do. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now is the perfect time to join the Turkish series Stars family so you never miss the little miracles that make these stories unforgettable. Thank you for watching, for caring, and for being here with us. We'll see you in the next one, with more warmth, more stories, and more reasons to believe that tenderness still wins.